As hunters, we can learn a lot about deer movement patterns, behavior patterns from mature bucks. I want to dive into some of the lessons we learned from hunting a buck we call double barrel for a couple of years.
We've been after that buck. That's a big top of the list buck.
That's awesome.
Oh.
During the summer of 2021, we started getting some trail camera pictures of a large, symmetrical, good-looking 10-point buck. Now, the buck had really nice antlers for the Ozarks, but his shoulders weren't that well developed, and his overall body shape indicated he was 3 years old. Based on those big symmetrical main beams, we named this buck Double Barrel. Once he shed his velvet, we stopped getting pictures of Double Barrel during all of the end of September, October, and even a good bit of November. I was starting to think he had been tagged by a neighbor or probably had shifted to using a different portion of his home range. Fortunately, during mid-December, we started getting pictures of Double Barrel again. And that kind of confirmed he'd shifted to using a different portion of his home range during that rut period, so to speak, but returned to an area where we had several food plots with green covers, fall release blend, and you know those post-rut bucks are gonna be looking for high-quality groceries. We were still hunting the proving grounds in 2021, but we sowed the northern portion during the summer of 2022 and started focusing all our efforts on that southern portion, which we call the Proving Grounds 2. Starting the fall of 2022, we were getting pictures of Double Barrel at the very northern portion of the Proving Grounds 2, the same area he was using the year before. But now that we're focused on the entire southern portion of that area, we picked him up in those months where he went missing the year before in that southern portion of the Proving Grounds 2 during the fall of 2022. And that confirmed he was using a different part of his home range, but what might surprise you, that's 1.8 miles apart. That's a pretty big shift for a buck. Now, that's just what we confirmed with the trail cameras. I suspect his home range extended even further. As a 4-year-old, Double Barrel dodged all our best efforts again during the hunting season of 2022. But we learned a lot about the portions of the area he was using and even some of the travel corridors he preferred. Fast forward to this past summer, summer 2023, and once again, Double Barrel's in that northern portion of the Proving Grounds 2. There's some food plots there that we had planted with green covers, summer browse pressure release blend, and he was spending a lot of time in those plots. I was curious how he was going to develop because we had very droughty conditions, as many of you had this past summer, but the release process kept the moisture in those plots, and he grew his best antlers by far. As we've come to expect, about late September or so, he disappeared from that portion of the Proving Grounds 2, and we started getting some pictures on the southern portion. During the afternoon of November 13th, I was in a redneck blind here in the southern end of the Proving Grounds 2.
Oh, that's a big buck. Big buck.
And saw a nice buck several hundred yards away on the side slope across the steep valley. It was Double Barrel. We knew from past years that even during the hunting season, Double Barrel sometimes made a walk up to the northern portion of the Proving Grounds 2. So we're strategizing and thinking, and in between where I'd seen him and where he goes north sometimes, there's a utility right of way, and so he went ahead and mowed that short so we'd have a better view, and if we did get a chance to see him, we'd have a clear shot. We knew that that travel corridor he uses at times crossed that utility right of way. During the morning of November 19th, Evan and I found ourselves in that redneck blind on that utility right of way. It wasn't that long into the hunt when Double Barrel crossed the right of way fairly quickly and started eating post oak acorns on the other side.
There he is, right there.
He was only about 70 yards away, but we'd felled the cedars in that area a couple of years ago, and I could see him, but I was looking through kind of a maze of twigs and sticks. I never felt comfortable with the shot opportunity. I returned to that same blind a few days later and was very blessed to harvest an even older buck. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like for you to meet Gravedigger. Woo! We were all excited about that and celebrating. Woo! And I knew my daughter would be returning from college a few days later, and Double Barrel was still walking the proving grounds too. During the late afternoon of November 22nd, Double Barrel walked in front of one of our Moultrie mobiles back on the southern end of the proving grounds too. You'll notice that he was feeding heavily. And that time, November 22nd, is right after the peak of the rut. Bucks have burned a bunch of calories during the peak of the rut. Now, they're not back to a food cover pattern in most cases, but they're certainly going to stop and feed more frequently than they were during the peak of the rut. Those observations or trail camera pictures really make you feel good when you think about the work during the hot summer of maybe making a food plot, cutting trees, or planting it, or taking care of it. This is when food plots really shine. Just a couple of hours after our Moultrie took a picture of Double Barrel in the Hideo food plot on the south end, another camera on the north end, a mile and a half away, almost a mile and a half away in a straight line, took a picture of Double Barrel following a doe. We got to remember that's a straight line. There's no telling how far Double Barrel went, winding through the hills and hollers of these Ozark Mountains. This is just one example of how quickly bucks can travel long distances during the rut and why it's so important to focus on those travel corridors or pinch points in travel corridors, knowing they're going to take a lot of steps that time of year. As part of our habitat improvement program here at the Proving Grounds 2, last spring we created about a 4-acre food plot on the southern side of the Proving Grounds. And this area was just scraggly oaks and cedars on a ridge top, and we had our local friends, Jarrett and his crew, come in, remove all those trees and the stumps. Man, that's a lot of work with big yellow equipment to make that 4-acre plot. Some people get all excited when we talk about removing trees, but that area wasn't providing much for wildlife. A few scraggly oaks, I'm sure, made acorns from time to time, shaded out so no cover, and now it's an extremely productive feeding area. After Jarrett and his crew were finished clearing the plot and kind of leveling it a little bit, we used our no-till drill and planted Green Cover's Summer Browse Pressure Release Blend. We didn't add any fertilizer, lime, or anything else. We just drilled the seed over a pretty rough area. I was very impressed how the Summer Browse Pressure Release Blend grew. You know, the most obvious part is sun hemp, and on this highly compacted, low fertility area, it got 9 feet tall. Now, deer like sun hemp. They can only usually reach the lower leaves, and they test out about the same quality as alfalfa, plus just pumping lots and lots of nitrogen into the soil. It's one key component of that whole blend. During the late summer, we hooked up the drill again and planted Green Cover's Fall Browse Pressure Release right through that standing Summer Browse Pressure Release. That's part of the release process, and that's called planting green. Although we call that ridge flat, it's got enough roll to it that if you're sitting kind of at ground level, you might not see a deer, certainly not see their vitals on the other side. So I moved a really old red wagon up to the southwestern corner of that plot and put a redneck ghillie blind up in the wagon, and we could easily see any deer in the plot. That allowed us to hunt under any north wind, east wind, southeast wind. We could walk up from that southwest corner, walk up the ridge and hop in that blind with no chance of alerting deer. During the afternoon of November 24th, Ray was home from college and decided she wanted to hunt that plot. And her and Evan went up there to hunt that plot and see if Double Barrel might stop all this moving around and take a bite.
It is the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and I am out here in a blind in a field we call Big Pond. My sister Raleigh is also hunting. Her and Dad are in a field just a little bit over there, and so I'm hoping to get a deer first. We'll see. Dad got a deer this morning. It was really big, so I'm hoping the same will happen for me tonight.
They hadn't been in the blind long when a yearling buck stepped out and started feeding. As the sun was setting over the mountains, Ray heard something coming through the woods, and it ended up being double barrel when he stepped out to take a bite.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Moultrie Mobile, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, Fourth Arrow, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Ward Laboratories, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
Double barrel was head down hammering the 4-H of that green cover blend, and knowing Ray, I'll bet she was a bit impatient waiting for that buck to turn around and present a better shot opportunity. But I also know Ray really well, and she was soaking in that moments of watching a mature buck that had avoided us for several years.
Right there. On the shoulder. Oh, yep. Just do your regular shot. Yep, right there. Okay.
You good?
Nice shot.
You think so?
Nice shot.
Good.
Double barrel. Hey, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Oh, that was so good. I thought it was squirrels in the woods. I was hearing some noise. But it was a really big buck.
Ray and Evan waited for dark so Daniel, Raleigh, and I could join them and take up the trail. Winchester Copper Impact worked perfectly because as soon as I walked up there, there was a really easy to follow trail.
Through there. Look at that. Look at that trail, Grant.
Is that it? It's there.
I like
So
that drag.
fun. Oh my gosh, what a shot, if I might say so.
Oh my god.
That's awesome. Oh boy. Today is Black Friday and Raleigh and I both came out to hunt. This guy stepped out. He came with another deer, didn't really look at it that much because I was too focused on him. And he walked out a little bit, waited for him to get straightened up and took the shot. He came down here, didn't run too far, which I think we're really excited about for the shorter drag up the hill. Great buck, awesome deer, super fun hunt.
Through the years, double barrel provided us a lot of great lessons, and those lessons included how deer, especially mature bucks, can shift portions of the home range they use throughout the year. That may be simply due to changing food sources, hunting pressure, or many other factors. This is a great reason why we do and we share the importance of finding travel corridors and pinch points within those travel corridors and knowing where the limited resources are throughout a deer's entire range, especially food. The hunt for double barrel also reminded me that just because a buck goes missing from trail cameras or you don't get a visual observation of them, doesn't mean they're dead. They could have shifted to a different part of their home range, and simply to be patient and see what happens a bit later. Our lives can be a lot like hunting a mature buck. We can feel we're right in the action or kind of feel like we're just barely drifting along. And to ensure we live the best life possible, it's always important to daily intentionally seek the Creator's will and apply it to our lives. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.